welcome to another session of Beyond the Bell with Dr. Javier Montañez, your superintendent here in Providence Public School. Today, I am excited to have two wonderful ladies who are going to teach us all about MLLs here in the Providence Public School. We have Jennifer Efflandt, the senior executive director of MLL office, and also Jennifer Walker, the principal of the Leviton Dual Language Elementary School. So welcome. How are you today?
Thank you.
Thank you for both for being here with us today. I have a few questions I would like to ask the both of you in different aspects of it. First of all, we know that the dual language programs accelerate diversity, and I also know that it creates multilingual learners, culturally diverse students. Who I know for years as a principal, many of our students who are multilingual happen to exceed some of the exams that the monolingual students. So can either one of you give me a little background on that?
Yeah, sure. So it's actually not something that's unique to Providence, although it's really great that we do see it in our data. But when multilingual learners, or really any student, even non-multilingual learners, take part in dual language programming, we see academic outcomes where they outperform students who are monolingual or what we call English-only program models. And so we definitely want to make sure more and more students are able to participate in these programs because we're seeing the results of that even after they leave the program.
And it's funny you say that because as this principal at the Leviton Dual Language, or former principal at Leviton Dual Language, I always admire how our students were able to switch back between the languages. And, and for a long time, I looked at it, I said, that's a skill set, but then I like to add my twist to it. I don't think it's just a skill set. I think it's a superpower that our students have because they're able to use this and think in two languages, speak in two languages, write in two languages, and communicate as much as we can, right? So that's really important for us. I have a question for Jennifer Efflandt. Can you share with us how you have grown the dual language program in the Providence Public Schools?
Yeah, so I actually started working in Providence about 8 years ago. Back then, we had dual language programs, but just in our elementary schools. Now I'm happy to share that we have dual language in 6 of our elementary schools. We've grown it into 2 of our middle schools and 1 high school. And so our goal is to actually get it to go all the way through 12th grade.
And that's interesting because that was leading me up to, okay, where were we? And what have we done to get that? And as you just mentioned that we were able to take it from a program because I remember when I started, I'm not even going to say the year, when I became principal at Leviton, I remember it being a program. Can you speak about how it was just a program in a certain school and then not until it came to Leviton Dual Language that it became a school program, a whole full school program?
Yes, so we were initially part of Lima and a portion of Lima's student body was in dual language. And then the annex was built, so the K-1 portion of that was in the annex, which is now the Leviton Dual Language School. And Lima had grades 2 to 5. And then in 2011, the year that you started, the 2nd to 5th graders came over into Leviton.
Right.
And we were there full K to 5 in dual language school. And that was the first full dual language school in the city at that point.
If you have an opportunity to speak to parents, would you tell them that this is a program and you encourage them to join these programs?
Absolutely. I mean, this is so beneficial not only for our multilingual learners, like I said, but native English speakers. They have the opportunity to become fully bilingual and biliterate. It just has so many benefits, not just academic benefits, but even after graduating, they're more competitive in our global economy and market. Research shows people who are bilingual actually end up making more money. And then, of course, there's just so many other cultural benefits. You get to be able to navigate in between cultures and just be a bridge for many, many people. So, yeah, so many benefits beyond just academics.
And there's also a lot of brain research that supports that bilingual people have a more flexible brain, are better critical thinkers, better at problem solving, and also potentially can stave off dementia.
I was just going to say that. Oh, you're both reading my mind right now because these are some of the questions that I have and you're answering them before I'm able to ask them. But that was one of the great things I was saying because, when we think about it, and I keep saying it's a superpower, now our audience will understand what I meant by superpower. And we all know, because I know for some time, many people thought it was taboo to be multilingual in America. But if you go around the world, it's actually something that's really important that people value. And when we look at it, says, I remember when I was a principal at Leviton and we was doing a summer program, and this young man came to me, and I think he was from Nigeria. And we're having a conversation, and then I start speaking in Spanish, and he starts speaking to me in Spanish. I'm like, and it surprised me, right? It's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so you understand me? He goes, yes, yes. He spoke, if I'm not mistaken, 10 or 11 different languages.
Wow.
Okay.
And I was amazed about with fluency, and it was like, oh my God, this is great. I have another question. When should a student join the program? Can they only join when they're in elementary? Can you elaborate?
So ideally, we would love all of our students when they're registering for kindergarten or even first grade to enroll in dual language, because then they would get the benefits of the program throughout their whole educational career.
Right.
But any student can join at any time. Right now we offer it K through 9. And like I said, we're growing it. So any family that's interested can always let their school know if they're currently in a school that doesn't offer dual language, or when they're going to registration for the first time, if they're coming new to the district, that this is a program that they'd like to be a part of. We do give an assessment starting in second grade just to measure students' literacy skills in Spanish, because we do want them to be able to stay on track with the level of, writing and reading that they will be doing in both English and Spanish.
Is the dual language program only for Spanish students? I mean, I know dual language can be a first language and then a second language. It doesn't have to be English and Spanish. But do the students who enter the dual language program, do they only need to speak Spanish first?
No. So we have a program model. It's called a two-way dual language program. So we have some students are native Spanish speakers, and we call them like the Spanish peers, really. And then we have English speakers. They don't have to speak Spanish. They're actually in the program to learn Spanish themselves. And so they get to be the English peers. And in that model, they're learning from each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have another one. It leads up to another question that I have. If I have a student who's in 6th grade and it's in the dual language program, but then they want to go to advanced placement, can they do that?
So that's a great question. We actually consider all of our dual language programs in middle school advanced placement programs. Our students are learning in 2 languages, and they are taking the advanced coursework.
Awesome.
So families don't have to choose between advanced or dual language. They can actually have both.
Jen Walker, I have a
Yes.
question. You're one of the original dual language programs. I mean, you was in the program even before I became a principal at Leviton Dual Language. Can you tell me a little history of the dual language program from your point of view?
Certainly. So I started in 1998. and
98?
And at the time, it was enrichment. So I had a fully bilingual class, and my partner teacher had a fully monolingual English class. And for social studies in the afternoon for about an hour, we would flop the full group. It wasn't integrated. And then for several years, we went through various changes, more time in one language. There was one time that was a horrible failure where it was you spent a whole quarter in one language and then you went to the other language, and that didn't work. But in 2004 was the first year we had both integrated groups and full dual language. So they switched at that time weekly. They would spend a week in English in all subjects, and then the next week they would spend a week in Spanish in all subjects. But the group itself had both monolingual English speakers and Spanish speakers. And so we did that. And then at some point, I think when you were principal, we switched to flopping in the middle of the day.
Right. So that was interesting that you say that, because you just said something didn't work throughout the learning curve, and I never say it's a failure. It's only that we learned another way of saying, okay, this is not something we want to do, and we have to readjust the work that we're doing to meet students' needs. And it always go back to students' needs, student outcomes, student impact. And I think that that's something that we have done in Providence really, really well, is looking into the program and say, how can we make it better? And I want to say thank you for the both of you for taking the time to do that, because it's not easy. And especially when I feel like we in Providence were leading the way with MLL students. I know it's trickling into other districts as we speak, but I think it was really important for us to lay the foundation for the work that we're doing. Ms. Walker, I have a question. You do something in your building. You often host dual language showcase.
Yes.
What is that about?
So that is a time that the MLL office organizes, and they invite community members and educational partners to come in and spend the day to see the program, to visit the classrooms. And then there's a panel where some teachers come in, they ask the teachers questions, and then students come in and they ask the students questions. And it's really a way of showcasing what we're doing, the successes that we have, and so that people can see firsthand what the program looks like.
Interesting. How's that worked out? How does that? I mean,
It's lovely. It's a lovely experience.
What kind of feedback do you get
We
from
get
the community?
wonderful feedback every time, that everyone is impressed.
Right.
The building is a lovely place to be. The culture is wonderful. The students are very engaged and happy, and that's the feedback that we get. And people are really impressed with their language abilities. They're impressed with their academic rigor, and they're impressed with the students' ability to function in both classrooms, in both languages.
Absolutely. So that was interesting because thinking about the work that has been done around the MLLs and doing the work that we do, it's always amazing to me for how our students rise up to the expectation. It's not about lowering the expectation. It's making sure that they understand that they have the ability to read any expectation that we put for them, and you both do an awesome job in making sure that continues to happen. I'm looking at something here. So if we want to speak to families, before I do that one, I want to go back to one more. You've been in the dual language program several years, I would say, right?
Several years.
We'll just keep it there, several years. Can you think of a student or story where it impacted students so much and success for students? Do you have a story that you can share with us?
So actually, quite recently, and there are many stories,
Yeah.
but quite recently we had a student arrive from the Dominican Republic in the 4th grade with really strong literacy skills in Spanish. And he, in the 5th grade, tested high enough on the English state test access to test out of it after just a year and a half in the program.
Wow.
He was able to take his Spanish, transfer it into English, and keep flying.
That's incredible, because I will say it usually
Yeah.
takes students about 5 to 7 years, sometimes even
Wow.
more. So to be able to do that
Yeah.
in a year and a half is just a testament of the learning that's happening.
Right.
The program. And I was going to ask you, Jennifer Efflandt, in reference to that, right? You just said it takes about 6 to 7 years for students to do something like that. But when we look at that and we look at students when they first come into the program, many years ago, I won't say currently, but many years ago, when we used to have MLL students, multilingual students come from another country, and people felt that they were not smart enough and they shouldn't have been in those programs because they thought that because they only had one language that they wouldn't be able to function in a dual language because of the English. Can you speak a little bit in reference to what that looked like and how are we changing people's mind, and it's a paradigm shift that this is a superpower and not a hindrance?
Yeah. Well, especially in dual language, I think about our multilingual learners, and we have over 100 languages represented. Right now, our dual language program is Spanish, Spanish and then English. And many of our students, we only have so many spots in dual language. I would love to be able
Right.
to give every MLL a spot in a dual language program. But we are trying to grow it. For the time that is right now, it's about 15% of our MLLs are enrolled in a dual language program. When an MLL isn't enrolled in a dual language program, it's English only all day. And so they're being immersed, and that can be very difficult to be all day in a language that you don't know yet. And so there can be many challenges. And we have a lot of professional development for teachers to help support students. But if you're a student who already has the Spanish literacy skills, they've been going to school in their native language in their country, they can take those skills in a dual language program and use those skills, and that actually helps them learn English. It sounds crazy, but what you know in your language you can transfer to another.
It's the bridge, bridging it
Exactly.
over,
Yeah.
right? I remember doing a professional development, blue student, green student, and how they cross the bridge to meet each other. It's really important for us to remember that. And for all the listeners out there, it's about making sure that we understand the science behind being multilingual and thinking about, this student has the power, has the background information to be successful in the class. They just need wraparound services to make sure that they get what they need to transfer the information. It's not that they don't understand, they don't know how to, but it's about how we get them to do that for their success story. I have a question, one last question for the both of you. If I'm a parent and I'm in the district and I want to participate in the dual language program, what do I do? Who do I call? Who do I contact?
Well, if you are coming to the district for the first time, registration is your first point of contact. And so you would definitely want to make sure that you let the registration staff members know that you're interested in dual language. If you're already in the district, not in a dual language program, you can let your school know and they'll get you in contact with the MLL office. But you could also just email us. It's mll@ppsd.org. And then we can work to make sure that we get you either tested if your child needs to be tested, or allowing you to have a seat if there's an open seat.
Go ahead.
For kindergarten families, I do offer tours. If any kindergarten family is interested in seeing the school, you can call the Leviton Dual Language School, 401-278-2872, and set up a tour. I'd be happy to show them the school and what we do.
I have one more question. Maybe either one of you can help us understand and help our families understand what does it look like one day in the life of MLL students in one of our dual language programs?
So I'll answer that. The students at Leviton, when they come in, are in either the Spanish or English classroom in the morning, and whatever subject matter is happening in my school for grades K to 3, they're doing literacy in the morning. Grades 4 and 5 are doing math and science in the morning. That happens in the language of the classroom they're in. Then in the middle of the day, they switch into the other classroom, the other language, and they do the other subjects. So K to 3 does math and science in the opposite language, and grades 4 and 5 do literacy in the opposite language of what they started in the morning. The following week, they do the reverse. So every day, they are studying in both languages, and every other week, they are studying. It's difficult to explain, but they're flopping the curriculum. So they get all of their subjects in both languages on an alternating schedule all year long.
Thank you so much. So you've heard from the two most awesome women in this district when it comes to MLL. I would tell you that I don't have anyone out there that can match these two individuals with the work that we've been doing in the district. I want to say thank you once again for joining us today here, and to the families and friends out in the world of PPSD. Thank you once again for joining us at Beyond the Bell with Dr. Montañez, your superintendent here in the Providence Public School. Stay safe.